Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going to be architects. We're grabbing our hard hats, we're unrolling the blueprints, and we're going to figure out how to build ideas that are actually designed to last. So, let's dig in. You got to wonder about this, right? We've all seen it happen. You hear an argument or a theory that seems so solid, so brilliant, but then someone asks one little question, pokes one tiny hole in it, and the entire thing just, poof, it completely falls apart. So why does that happen? Well, to get to the bottom of it, we're going to go on a little construction tour. Here's our game plan. First, we'll check out the shaky ground where most ideas fail. Then, we'll get our hands on the architect's secret blueprint. After that, we're going to run some serious quality control checks on the foundation and the plans before, finally, we put it all together to build a truly bulletproof system. Okay, so first up, the danger zone. The biggest threat to any system of thought isn't the argument you can see right out in the open. No, it's the stuff you can't see. It's the hidden cracks, those unseen assumptions that get smuggled in without anyone noticing. And this right here, this is the core of the problem. If your intellectual house is poorly built, you've basically left the back door unlocked. It lets these new, unvetted ideas get smuggled in, which is a perfect way to put it. Every single one of those smuggled ideas is a potential crack that could bring the whole building down. So, how do you stop that? How do you build something that's actually secure? Well, you need a blueprint, a really, really rigorous one. And in the world of logic and big ideas, that master blueprint has a name: axiomatization. It's the method for making sure what you're building is on solid rock and not on sand. So, what the heck is axiomatization? Okay, think of it like this. You start by laying a concrete foundation. This foundation is made of a few core fundamental statements. These are your axioms. From that point on, every single other part of your theory, the walls, the windows, the roof, has to be logically derivable directly from that foundation. Nothing else gets in. But hold on. Before we can even think about putting up walls, we have to inspect that foundation. A good architect doesn't just pour some concrete and cross their fingers. Nope, they follow really strict building codes to make sure the foundation itself is absolutely perfect. And with axiomatization, we have our own set of codes to follow. And that brings us to this, our non-negotiable 4-point inspection checklist. For our foundation to pass, it has to meet all 4 of these requirements. It needs to be consistent, independent, sufficient, and necessary. So let's break down what each of these really means. Okay, first up, and this one is the big one: consistency. The rule here is incredibly simple, but it is absolutely crucial. Your foundational axioms cannot, under any circumstances, contradict each other. You can't have one axiom that says all birds can fly and another one that says penguins are birds. That's a contradiction. And this quote just nails why this is so critical. If your system has a contradiction baked into it, you can use logic to prove literally anything. You could prove that the sky is purple or that 2 + 2 = banana. A system that can prove everything is, in the end, a system that proves nothing. It's completely useless. It's just noise. And you can see the difference so clearly here. On the left, you've just got chaos. An inconsistent system is totally uninformative because anything goes. But on the right, you have a clean, consistent system. And that's powerful because it draws a sharp line in the sand. It tells you, these things are compatible with my foundation. And just as important, these things are not. It gives you real, actual information. All right, on to our second building code: independence. This one is all about making sure our foundation is elegant and efficient. We want it to be strong for sure, but we don't want to waste any materials. Here's the deal with independence. Every single axiom has to be a true starting point. You can have one axiom that you could have just proven from the others anyway. I mean, that'd be like laying a foundation block on top of another foundation block. It's totally redundant and just makes things messy. Every piece has to be fundamental. Okay, so our foundation is checked. It's passed inspection, it's consistent, and it's independent. Now we get to look up from the foundation and check the actual building plan. These next 2 codes are all about the relationship between our axioms and the theory we want to build with them. Now, it's best to look at these 2 together because they're really 2 sides of the same coin. First, sufficiency asks the question, is my foundation big enough? In other words, are our axioms strong enough to prove every single claim our theory makes? We can't have parts of our house just floating in midair with no support. But at the same time, necessity asks, is my foundation lean? We don't want a massive concrete slab that's big enough for a skyscraper if we're just building a garden shed. You can't have extra axioms that aren't even needed. It's got to be just right. So, we've run our 4-point inspection. We made sure our foundation is consistent and independent. We made sure our building plan is sufficient and necessary. When you successfully check all 4 of those boxes, what do you get? Well, you get a system that is genuinely bulletproof. This chart right here is the perfect takeaway. Think of it as your final checklist. The next time you come across some big, complicated idea, just mentally run it through these 4 questions. Are there any contradictions? Is every single piece essential? Is the foundation big enough to support the whole thing? And is it lean with no extra parts? If the answer is yes to all 4, you're probably looking at a pretty solid idea. And really, that's the whole goal of this process. You end up with a system that's internally sound, meaning no cracks, no contradictions. It's comprehensive, meaning it actually covers everything it claims to. And it's minimal. There's no fat, no wasted energy. It's just elegant, powerful, and something you can actually trust. So I'll just leave you with this one final question to chew on. Think about the beliefs you hold most strongly. Your ideas about the world, about how things work, about yourself. Have you ever tried to be your own architect? Have you ever tried to dig all the way down to find the absolute bedrock foundation of those beliefs? Your strongest beliefs, what are their axioms? And do they pass the inspection?